Welcome back to the Nice Guy Knitting Podcast. My name is Rachel. I am a knitter based in Canada, currently Toronto, and this channel is my chatty outlet to talk all things knitting, occasionally other crafts, because I have a strong tendency towards hyperfixation, and at the moment I want to talk about fiber stuff almost constantly, and by having a podcast I'm able to talk about other things with my loved ones, and so they don't resent me. And also this way I get to connect, and I have connected with a whole bunch of other cool people in this awesome community, and I'm so grateful. And so I want to thank you for being here, whether you're a first-time viewer or a returning viewer. I wish you all Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well. And today is Thursday, January 6th, and it's been about three and a half weeks since I last recorded. I'm expecting this to be a bit of a longer episode, and also it's going to be kind of acquisitions heavy because of the holidays and also because I've been shopping. I am sorry about the acquisitions heavy bit because I know that's not everybody's jam and it's not always mine, but I'm not sorry that this might be a bit of a longer one because I've got a lot to say and I've been itching to tell you guys about some things. And also because I've tried to keep a bunch of my videos under an hour recently, which really feels like a low bar, but this one might be over an hour, but I haven't done that in a while, so I don't feel too bad yet. Maybe I will when I'm editing it. And also let's see what the quality is, because it might be quantity over quality, but that's often the case. Here with me. Okay, also, all yarns and patterns that I talk about will be listed and linked in the description box below. I always forget to say that at the beginning, but they're always there. That's what I do when the video is uploading to YouTube. So, also, I don't know what's going on with the lighting. I'm sitting in front of a north-facing window, and either I'm shrouded in darkness when I try to film, or I'm like blown out. I actually am this pale, but it's really accentuating the paleness. So, this is not a professional operation. But yeah, I have a lot to talk about. I have a few finished objects, most of which will be familiar to you. The very first of which are the socks, the infamous socks, that I've been talking about knitting for my grandfather for Christmas for like a month and a half now, I don't know. Here they are. I haven't woven in the ends. Because, this is a spoiler alert, I might save some life chat stuff for the very end, but my whole family got COVID. It sucked. Wasn't good. The rumors are true. You don't want COVID. That was me being flippant and kind of glib because that is my knee-jerk reaction when I'm uncomfortable. But yeah, COVID, not good. Really not good. So I wasn't able to give these to my grandfather because we were all in quarantine, like full literal quarantine. It's been like a week since we've left quarantine. No, it's been a few days. I've tested negative since. Symptoms are gone, still some fatigue, but basically, long story short, I can show you guys these on the podcast. I also wasn't able to record beforehand because I was sick, and you could tell. But I wasn't able to give him these yet because we would have killed him. So yeah, he was like, come up and see me anyway, and I was like, I did not spend a month knitting you socks in order to kill you before you could wear them. Actually I didn't say that, but I'm going to say that to him when I see him because he still doesn't know about the socks. They're a surprise. But I knit this in West Yorkshire Spinners Air Valley. I think it's either Air Valley or Air Valley DK. Don't remember the colorway names, but I feel like they're pretty distinctive, and I have a ton left over, which is not ideal, but I'll just knit some more slipper socks either for myself or for other people. My brother really liked these ones, so maybe I'll knit him a pair. I don't know if he wants socks that are this chunky, because he often goes barefoot around the house, and I think these are a bit too thick to wear in shoes, but they are a wool nylon blend. They blocked nicely. I had my boyfriend, who's also a size 10.5, try them on, and he said the foot fit well, and I trust that these are wide enough in the calf to make it work. I'm really happy with how these turned out, to be honest, after a lot of hand-wringing and worrying. So yeah, first finished object. Happy about these. Second finished object is the second pair of socks that I knit for my brother for Christmas. I stole these from him. I asked. I was like, hey, can I borrow the socks? And he said, yeah, of course, they're in the cabinet. So these are the second pair of socks that I knit him. that I didn't really show off on the podcast. I think all I had knit was this, the ribbing of the first one. Anyway, here's what they look like. Here's one. Here's the other. These are knit in Patton's Croy. This is I think it's called the zebra stripe colorway. It's just black and white stripes. And then this is the toes of both and the cuffs of both are knit in Leftover Sunset Stripes by Patton's Croy, which fully knit looks like this. Hold on. Sorry, these just went through the washer and so they're all crinkled. These are my socks. Oh gosh, did these shrink? No, they're just crumpled. I knit these for myself over the summer. You guys have seen them before. So yeah, using the leftovers from this, I did cuffs and toes. And then using the leftover turquoise jacquard, I did the heels, which is a Fish Lips Kiss heel. Yeah, I think these are super funky, which is what he asked for, funky socks. And I had to redo the toe on both because I made them too short. And they've mostly blocked out, except he says that they're still a little bit I think they're too short still. I think I might make him wear them for a day and then vigorously block a second time. So I didn't very vigorously block the first time because Patton's Croy kind of grows when you block it because it's wool. I think these look super, super cool. I still have leftovers, like tiny bits of all of these. And of the black and white stripes. And I think I might make a pair for myself at some point. Not using obviously like matching these perfectly, but getting a black and white stripe and then using all my Patton's Croy scraps for heels toe cuffs. The other pair I knit him, which were the all rib Wise Hilda's Easy Rib sock in Patton's Croy Woodsy, fit him perfectly. He loves them. He wears them a lot. He thinks they're stylish, which is great because he cares about being stylish, and so I achieved that. And they're all rib. I did a slip stitch heel flap gusset for those, and I don't know if it's the combination of the different heel or the fact that they're all rib or what that makes them fit better, but this is just stockinette with a Fish Lips Kiss heel, which my mom loves, but my brother maybe doesn't. So that's good knowledge for knitting future socks. Both of them are very appreciative of their socks. My mom also loves hers. She says they're super soft and they fit really well. So, whew, that's a relief because, man, was I knitting these like mad. Another finished object. This is Grandma's Easy Washcloth. It's a free pattern that I knit in Leftover Lion Brand Kobu from the top I knit my mom this summer. I knit her this little easy washcloth from a free pattern, and I knit 4 of these. No, I didn't knit. I crocheted 4 of these crochet cotton rounds because I got her a couple face masks and like a Lush body exfoliant moisturizer, and I packaged them and I did it like a little spa kit. So there was like these guys and a little washcloth and then the masks and the thing in like a box, so it was like a kit. And this is just a really easy way to knit up something else using some scrap yarn in her favorite color. Hopefully she'll get a lot of use out of because she likes skincare and masks and stuff like that, especially in the winter. And I thought that was cute. So yeah, that's my my other finished object from holiday stuff. Oh yeah, the thing I'm wearing. My final finished object that I think calling it finished is a bit of a stretch because I actually haven't done the bind off for this sleeve and it has not been blocked yet. And so hopefully I'll wear it next episode blocked so you can kind of get a better idea of what this properly is supposed to look like. I'm just so dang excited. I finished this earlier today and I love it. I love it so much. This is the Crescendo blouse by the Knit Pearl Girl, currently in testing. Isn't it adorable? Look at these puffy sleeves. Isn't that just so sweet and so elegant? Oh my goodness. I love it. And the diamond lace work. Yeah, this is a test knit. The last time I showed it to you guys, I had done a few rounds of the ribbing. And then I went back to all my gift socks and I would do like a round or 2 of this before bed as kind of a little bit of selfish knitting to come down from furiously knitting socks for like a week straight. And I've been knitting on it monogamously since I want to say Christmas Eve when I finished the last pair of socks. and just general gift knit. And I've been on break. I don't go back to school until next week. And so I've just been knitting on this pretty much all day, every day. And I love it so much. I think it's gorgeous. I'm excited to see the lace, this really gorgeous diamond lace yoke, open up a little bit and become a bit clearer with blocking, which I'm going to do immediately after filming this. But I was just so excited and I wanted to show you guys. It has these really delicate puffy sleeves. I think these might be called bishop sleeves, but they're just called puffy sleeves in the pattern. I found absolutely no issues with this pattern whatsoever. The lace was easy to follow. It's not a beginner pattern at all. There's short row shaping in the back, fits beautifully. Not a beginner pattern, but it might be a beginner lace pattern because you're just doing yarn overs and decreases. And it's pretty easy to follow, and when you get the hang of it, you're like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, because you're doing diamonds. It's kind of repetitive, but really enjoyable. Flew off the needles. I knit this in a combination of knit picks. Aha! I do have the ball band. Okay. I knit this in a combination of knit picks Aloft lace mohair in the color Kenai, which I have most of a ball left over of. So I got 4 in an accidental knit picks order that was sent to me, but it was meant to be for somebody else. And they got my balls of cotton acrylic and I got their mohair, so I got the better end of that deal. Had this in my stash. Now it's mostly out of my stash. And then I knit it. The solid color was 2 balls. So I used 3 and a teensy bit balls of that for a size 2, kind of cropped. And the first sleeve option, which is a puffy sleeve, there's like, I think 3 sleeve options. And then I used 200 grams almost entirely of Cascade Heritage Solid sock yarn in the color Como. I have the ball band for that too. Does it have the color on it? Just the number, which is 5655. And this is how much yarn I have left over. Here's a stitch marker for comparison. This turned into a game of accidental yarn chicken. I stopped knitting the body after a few rounds, put it on hold, and did the sleeves first. Sorry, I keep reaching to the floor to grab stuff because I really wanted to make sure that I finished the sleeves and then I would just knit the body using the rest of the yarn. And I did that. And then once I finished the sleeves, it really looked like I'd barely made a dent in the second ball. And so I briefly thought that I would maybe have enough yarn. And so I didn't really finish the bind off for this sleeve. I just put it on hold in case I wanted to make the sleeves longer. I don't, which is good because I just kept knitting the body normally. I stopped where I wanted to stop and started doing the ribbing. And then by the time I finished the ribbing, I was like, it was completely a fluke, but I didn't time it perfectly. I just stopped at the perfect moment. I think I had enough yarn to do 1 more round and that's it. So perfect, no scraps whatsoever. I guess I have the mohair scraps, but for the sock yarn, I don't have to figure out what to do with that. That's great. Really excited. I think this is a lovely pattern. I think I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of this, more so than I thought. When I first decided to knit it, I thought this would be more of a special occasion blouse, and I think that it still might be. I tried to knit it a bit longer than I normally do, and I do expect it to extend a bit after blocking. But I didn't think this would be super warm in the colder months because of the lace and the mohair, but so far, wearing it sitting above a heating vent, but in kind of cold weather, it's been very nicely regulating. And I was worried that I'd find mohair itchy, and I don't find it not itchy. Wow, that was not articulate at all. I was worried that I would find the mohair very itchy. So far, I don't find it has any more prickle factor or discomfort than wool, which is good. I'm excited about that, but also I kind of wish that I hated mohair because now I'm looking at projects that are like 1 fingering weight yarn and a mohair strand held together, and they're appealing to me more than they did before, which is bad because I'm a student and I'm on a budget, and mohair just kind of blows that budget out of the water. But no big rush to get any more anytime soon. I'm super happy with this project. Highly recommend when it comes out. I knit size 2 for a 34-inch bust, which is 86 centimeters. Did the first sleeve option, which is the puffy sleeve, and I knit the body, I think this is 10 inches from the underarm, pre-blocking. So I'm thrilled. I will say, very happy with both the yarns I used. Cascade Heritage Solids is something that I'm probably going to use again, either for socks or for garments in the future. Really great price point, fantastic color selection, really liked working with it, really liked the colors, except this color bled everywhere. At one point I looked down, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but where I tensioned my yarn here and then wrapped around my first finger, there was just a teal dye transfer line. Like super obviously. I've washed my hands a bunch since. I mean, it's been going on for a few days and I've just keep washing my hands because I have reasons to wash my hands. It also transferred onto my nails a bit. And my phone case is like dyed teal. I guess because it would transfer from my hands to the phone case. I don't really care. It's kind of an old phone case and it kind of works with the case of the phone. It's charging on the floor and I don't want to get up. But I'm expecting this to bleed like mad when I soak it to block it, and I'm going to use a dark towel. So that is a word of warning. I do very much recommend this yarn, but I would be wary using it for colorwork projects if every shade bleeds as heavily as the Como, which is the teal, does. And just be prepared, don't use a nice towel when you're blocking it. So yeah, that is the Cascade blouse, my final finished object for this video. Really, really happy with it. Excited, well, actually we're kind of in another shutdown right now. Excited to wear it at Zoom school. I think that'll be nice. It's comfier than I thought. It's exactly as pretty as I'd hoped it would be. And it's really, really, it was just so satisfying to work on. I really enjoyed it. Didn't feel super sleeve islandy because the sleeves are short and also you do the shaping to get this puff. No problems with the pattern. I think it's coming out in 2 weeks. The testing deadline's in a bit less than a week. And so keep an eye out for the Knit Pro Girls Crescendo blouse. If you don't want to knit this at a DK weight, you could, and I knit this on 4mm. I had to go down a needle size for the first time from 4.5 to get gauge. Simultaneously, there's a chunky weight Crescendo sweater, which is currently in testing as well, which has a bit less lace. It's bigger and it's knit, I think, on 7mm needles. So if that's more your speed, keep an eye out for that too. It looks really cool, and I'm pretty sure Rebecca from the Crea Knitting Podcast is testing that one, so you could check out her channel for updates there. I think that looks really nice. It feels very like ski chalet vibes, if you get what I mean. I hope that makes sense. But those are my finished objects. Happy with them. Do I have any whips? Sort of. So I've been knitting pretty monogamously recently. I was knitting pretty much monogamously on this. I took each sock one at a time because I just felt like I was making more progress that way. And so I have two whips sort of, one of which you're very familiar with, the other less so. The other's completely new. Okay. So my first whip is the Magic Toadstool sock by Stone Knits. The designer's real name is Charlotte Welsh. I might have completely made that last name up, but her first name is Charlotte of Stone Knits on Ravelry and Instagram, and these are the Magic Toadstool socks, or the very beginnings of them. Sorry, a lot of ends, because color work. I have gotten as far as finishing the mushroom cap and waiting to start the mushroom stalks. I'm using leftover Amano Chosky in either cranberry or cranberry stone, and then I think this is cranberry and this is brookstone. I did 2 other pairs of socks using this. These 2 were contrast in my Nostalgia socks by Bloom and Create, and then these were the main color and the contrast color for my Shorty Spring Rain socks by Natasha of NKP Designs. and I had a lot of yarn left over from those projects, and I thought that these colors would be really darling in a mushroom sock, and so far I have been proven, I think, correct. I am absolutely playing yarn chicken with the blue. I don't think I will. I'm really cutting it close with the amount that I need, and I'll have a ton of this left over. I have another idea for a cute color work sock to use up the scraps from my nostalgia, this and the green that I have not with me. However, I ordered some white sock yarn, the Seuss yarn, in natural from a local yarn store about 8 days ago for pickup, but they were closed for the holidays and they had a sale for Boxing Week, and I think for these reasons they're quite behind on, not behind, it takes a long time to fulfill orders, so I've been anxiously checking my email for the ability to go and pick it up and continue. Actually, my priority isn't on these. I'm going to put these on hold, but I will hopefully soon continue with these or completely frog them depending on sizing. Wow, I'm all over the place today. Let me back this up a little bit. So I'm waiting on white and green Seuss yarn, Seuss sock yarn for a pair of blooming lavender sock by Stone Knits to knit for my friend's birthday. I ordered this from a local yarn store, and I think that it just takes some time for them to fulfill the orders and have them be ready for pickup. And once I finish knitting those socks, which I need these needles for, I will continue with these. However, first I'm going to put these socks on hold, and I've already mentally prepared having to frog back to the cuff, which isn't too many rows, but it is color work. Because I'm very suspicious of the sizing of these socks. I didn't really notice until after I'd purchased them, but they're kind of one size. I mean, there's sizing modifications and stuff in pattern. I don't want to give it away and I don't want to misrepresent the pattern, but it's all based on a 64 stitch count, and I have narrower feet than that. I have knit 60 stitch socks on the same needle size, and they're already baggy in the same yarn. I think part of it is this yarn stretches a little bit until you wash it again because of the plant-based content in it. It's, I think, 10% linen, 20% cotton, or vice versa. Either way, 30% plant matter. And they stretch. They're super comfy, they're super soft, and they're good for not just the dead of winter, for like spring and fall too. I've even worn them in the summer. So not just like a super heavy woolen sock, but they do kind of stretch. And the way that the pattern works out for the color work and the sizing, I'm pretty much convinced these are going to be too big. So I knit it against my better judgment, and I thought about it, and I was like, I'm just going to fuck around with the stitch count probably, sorry for swearing, and knitted mess around with the chart, knitted a different size, and have more yarn to go for with the blue, go forward with these, but also probably fit better, but I'm not willing to rip it out yet. However, I am going to take these off the needles and put the stitches on hold as soon as I can dash over to Unit and pick up the rest of the Seuss, because my friend's birthday is in a month, but she's leaving Toronto to go back to the city she lives in on the 13th, which is a week from now. And I would really like to give her her gifts wrapped to take with her and then unwrap on her birthday, as opposed to having to deal with the post office and mailing it, because I don't want to go to the post office, and it just seems like a really convenient opportunity to do that now. When I ordered the yarn 8 days ago, I was like, I'm gonna have plenty of time. I'm still on break. I have knit so many socks quickly at this point. Now the clock's a-ticking, and I have like 6 days to knit them, give them to her. And I still don't have the yarn. That's making me nervous. But that's kind of a roundabout way of saying I got yarn for just the little white stalks. Might rip back and go off-pieced and knit these at a different size than is recommended. And my number one priority is to knit the blooming lavender socks, which I recently learned how to split screen myself with another image. Oh my goodness, how funny would it be if I am leaning over to split the screen here, but it actually goes over my face. I recently learned slightly more advanced iMovie editing techniques. If everything goes according to plan, you guys won't ever see on the podcast what I am knitting because I would like to knit them and give them to her. So I'll take photos to show you. So my number one priority and my next thing that I'm going to cast on is the Blooming Lavender Sock by Stone Knits. I'm also going to, based on the sizing, I will have to knit those socks in a different yarn, but still. And then I'm thinking I can just try them on and see how they fit with the 64 stitch standard written instructions for the color work. Because you do kind of do certain things to make the color work fit better. I don't want to give it away because it's a paid for pattern, and it seems she's done this in 2 of her patterns, so I'm assuming she does this in most of them, and I don't want to just ruin the sizing for all of her patterns, or ruin the surprise or spoil it or whatever. But I'm going to use the friend socks, the gift socks, also as a test run for myself. I'm really sorry if you can hear the water. Don't know how if it's picking up on camera. I think my mom is running a bath above me. But these will be knit as soon as I finish the Blooming Lavender socks. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. I love using Stash. I love this sock yarn. I also think it would be a lovely fingering weight to sport weight summer top yarn. In case anybody's in the market, the Amano Chosky. It's super soft and airy and light and I think it's a pleasure to knit with personally. So that is my kind of only whip beyond my languishing Fortune sweater, which I've recently picked back up. And very soon I will hopefully be furiously knitting on the Blooming Lavender socks at the end of my vacation. And life will be good. I mean, things are fine now that I've recovered from the COVID. But my other whip, you guys have seen this before, is my Fortune sweater by Petite Knit. I was really enjoying this, and then I got the 2 test knits for the Crescendo blouse, and also the Folly Dolly jumper that I knit for Aniela of Yelly's Wonders. Check it out, it's coming out soon. I really like it. I think it's great. It's much more, it's a different type of texture, and it's bottom up, and I like that. But I put this on hold to work on all my gift knits while also working on the test knits. And I packed this with me, thankfully, to come to Toronto for the holidays to visit my mother and see other members of my family. Because I was trying to balance an appropriate number of potential projects with trying to be realistic and not overpack, and also pack room for the clothing, because I was going to be here for 3 weeks. But then Omicron hit Canada hard, and everything's kind of shut down. Not fully, but almost fully. I mean, Quebec's imposed another curfew, so. But I didn't want to overpack. And so I thought that including this was pushing it, because I had 2 test knits to finish. No, I had 1 test knit to finish. I just finished the Folly Dolly. I had 3 pairs of socks I needed to finish. I packed the yarn for this. That was going to be my post-gift and test knit project. And so I packed this, and I originally packed all of the yarn I needed for it, and then I took out the extra balls because I was like, this is too much, Rachel. You're overdoing it. You've got plenty of knitting. You're also going to be seeing family and reading and being social, not just furiously knitting, and you're going to want to give your elbows and your brain a break after all the gift knits. And I think that that was good thinking at the time with the circumstances that I was given. But then I came back to Toronto to start writing my finals a few days before the holidays. And the day after, my school announced that we're going to be virtual this upcoming semester, kind of indefinitely. And I only packed like 5 shirts and like 2 knitting projects, and I've been lightly panicking about this since because my mother has asked that I stay here a little bit longer because she lives alone, and my boyfriend's here, my mom's here. I'm comfortable and happy and safe. Until I caught COVID, a whole other thing. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense, except I don't have enough craft stuff. I don't. So I went overboard buying stuff. that's the story about how we got into the mess that I have of my acquisitions. Back to the fortune sweater. I was going to do a whole project vlog on this. I've been filming myself knitting it and talking about it. It's going to be a little bit harder here because the lighting situation isn't ideal. But I'm really happy I brought this back, even though I thought I was being overzealous at the time. I have almost a full ball of it because I just joined, oh dear, that's coming apart. I had just joined a new ball when I had stopped knitting on it to work on my other big projects. So I do think I can finish the body, which I think is a goal. I'm looking forward to it. Because delightful. I'm still in love with this. I think it's so lovely. It's a little bit greener in person. It's being a little bit blown out by the sunlight. But I think this is going to be so lovely for spring. So I'd like to have it ready and it's not going to knit itself. And I'm having fun knitting it, so ideal. I also through this, I finally learned how to fix a dropped yarn over, which enabled me to go back and fix one here. There's another one that it's going to take me forever to find it, but I think it's going to be more obvious when it's blocked out, and unfortunately it's like in the front center. Like it's one of these guys where it's going to be like really obvious that one of the clovers is just missing a leaf, an eyelet, a yarn over. So I'm going to have to do something kind of sketchy to fix that later on. But I did manage to fix a yarn over. I can't figure out which one. Oh my goodness. That's a good thing though that I can't figure out which is the sketchy one. Oh yeah, I can. I added another yarn over. Here. I added that guy. This one. So that was very satisfying, and I've knit a few rows of this and I'm really happy to be back with it. I wish I had the rest of it, but I don't. And we're not gonna think about that. And also, once I finish the body, I can reclaim these needles and this cable. I mean, I could take these off, they're interchangeables, but I don't like having to do that too much. Which is good because I have only two 30cm cords. No, it's either a 60 or an 80. It's not important. But I'm excited to be back with this project. And then all I'll have to do is the sleeves. I'm enjoying the eyelets. It's a really good mix of TV knitting with some interest every few rows. And I like this kind of baby lace theme I have going on, like lace for babies, like this and this. And I like this fluff thing I have going on. I like the green, blue moments I have going on. This is in my Mohair No Problems bag that I got from Kat of the Heather and Hops podcast, an inspiration to me from when I won a giveaway. Those are my two whips and a really rambly story about how I'm probably going to be away from my stash in Ottawa and with my mother in Toronto for probably about 3 weeks longer minimum than I first expected to, which is a nice segue into acquisitions. Normally, I try and limit them because my budget is limited and also because it is important to me to not indulge my consumer impulses too much. I don't want to shame people for buying things. I don't want to shame myself for buying things because I don't like swinging too far on the other side of the pendulum or having the pendulum swing too far to the other side either. But it's important to be mindful and intentional with my money, my space, my storage space in my house, with my time for knitting, and also my brain. It clutters my brain. I know that sounds so silly, but it does. And so I usually try, and I've really been enjoying knitting down my stash. I enjoyed that with the scrappy socks for my brother. I enjoyed using the mohair I have. I really like that I'm getting this out of my stash and onto my feet. But then I was faced with the prospect of not having anything to knit for a month, or running out of things to knit, or just having my incomplete fortune sweater and these socks, which I needed another yarn to buy to finish. And I went a little overboard. I think first I will show you the things I got for Christmas that are knitting related. The theme of my Christmas gifts this year was knitting. Quite pleased about that. Sorry about how all over the place this has been, but I think at this point you guys are used to it because I think I apologize for how all over the place my podcasts are almost every podcast. Are you guys proud of me for wearing jeans for you? So, oh, also, while I stood up, I got my phone to show you the teal transfer. You guys see that? How funny is that? It's darker in person. I think it's partially because I have a biodegradable phone case, and it's kind of starting to biodegrade. I've had it for a year and a half, and it's just picking up that teal. How funny. So my big Christmas gift was this. I got a ball winder from my mom, my genius, caring, generous mother, who apparently spent a lot of time Googling top 10 best gifts for knitters lists, and this was at the top, and she was super skeptical. She didn't understand it. She thought it was a rinky-dink piece of plastic, kind of underwhelming for the price, but she bought it for me anyway because all the knitters said to, and so happy that I have it. Thank you, Mom, so much. This has already made my life so much easier. One of my preferred local yarn stores, when I say preferred, I mean the ones that I've been to and I go back to a lot, is Knit-O-Matic in Toronto. They ship across Canada and the US. So when I tell you guys about sales that they have, like, you can probably get them if you're in Canada or the US. But they have a ball winding service for you. So I think you pay 50 cents, and if you order things that are hanked, you can get them wound up into cakes, which is fantastic. And I kind of got used to that, and then I started going to other yarn stores, and I was like, oh, you're not going to do it? You're not going to do it for me for 50 cents? And then I tried to do it by hand a few times with varying degrees of success. For worsted weight yarns, that's fine. That time I tried to wind by hand or ball by hand 400 grams of sock yarn. Tangled mess took me 3 hours. So I just like put away all my hanged yarns for a bit. A, because I wasn't using them, and B, because it was bad. So the fact that my mom got me this without me having to ask is just, thank you, Mother. I've used it twice. I used it with her. She was so skeptical and so curious to see what it looked like, and then she was like, this is magic. This is so cool. And I was like, you're totally right. This is a fantastic gift. I really hope that this soothes your worries that you didn't get me a good gift. This is my big gift. I love it. It's amazing. So that's my first acquisition. My mom also got me like 30 stitch markers from a really beautiful hand. It's a local business. When I say local, I mean Canadian. They're based in BC. The business is called Firefly Notes. And to give you an idea of Canadian geography, I live in central south Ontario, and the makers I think in Richmond, BC. And I say local, but this person I think is still 3,000 kilometers away from me, and I'm not on the coast of Canada. I'm not on the other coast. Like, that's to give you an idea of how big Canada is. It's huge. This is a huge country. My mom got me a whole bunch of stitch markers as well. She got me a bunch that are shells. Can you see that? Shells? She got me a bunch that are, oh, this came with the shell ones. It's a little sailboat. Gorgeous. So cute. And then there's a bunch of moon and star ones. Oh, I really didn't put that in frame at all. Wow, I'm not good at this. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. Moon. Star. And then she got me this. It's measuring tape that rolls itself back up again. So, centimeters, inches, stays in place, and then awesome. Come on. My grandmother, my mother's mother-in-law or ex-mother-in-law, because my parents are divorced, got her one of these 20 years ago, not even, probably 30 years ago, because it was before I was born. And my grandmother was a prolific knitter, knit a lot of my baby clothes. And my mom was like, I need to get Rachel one of these because her grandmother said that they're crucial for knitting. I love it because a lot of these gifts are like steps up from things I already have. Like, I got a free, in my crochet kit when I first started crocheting, I got a free measuring tape, which is nice, but it's constantly getting messed up in my Notions box. And I have to roll it up again. This one is so much more elegant and neater. Never would have bought this for myself. So appreciated as a gift. I have a bunch of also free, like the stitch marker that I showed to give you an idea of how little yarn I have left over from this, with the plastic broken, half broken clippy ones. I never buy myself nice stitch markers, so she got me a ton of them. This is in an old Nietzsche bag that I put them all in. And she also got me this skein of yarn. I told her not to get fancy stock yarn. She ignored me and did it anyway. This is Artful Belle in the color Cabernet. And it is this beautiful reddy purple wine with kind of black tones in it. Like there's almost, they're not really speckles, but it's almost heathered but black. And it's 100 grams. The color is Cabernet. Artful Belle is a Canadian hand dyer. I think they're based out of Quebec. And it's 80/20 superwash merino nylon. I'm going to knit the acorn socks with this. If you watched my 2022 Make 9 video, I talked about that project that I have planned. It's part of my Make 9. I'm going to use these. Obsessed. I love it. I feel kind of overwhelmed by the gifts. They're just so perfect. My friend for Secret Santa, who's also the only other knitter in our group of friends got me for Secret Santa, which is so funny and also great. She also got me a bunch of pretty stitch markers. They are from, oh yeah, okay, so my mom got me a whole bunch from Firefly Notes because they stock it at different Toronto yarn stores. And I think that they're super cute and I've been enjoying using them a lot. And for the most part, they handle very well, except one of them came with it's a progress keeper, like a claw arm one. It broke the first time I tried to use it, like literally the first time. I didn't even get it on the yarn. I just like pulled the little lever and it snapped. So that kind of sucks. Keep that in mind. But the other stitch markers, fantastic. I adore them. My friend got me bee-shaped ones. Sorry, bee-themed ones. I'm sorry that this has just turned into a stitch marker parade. I'm just so excited. This is not the kind of thing I would ever really splurge on for myself, but I covet when other people have them. These are the two, like a bee and this beautiful honeycomb stitch marker. And then it also came with, I think, like 12 or 20 of these brass hexagon stitch markers. Literally wasn't holding it up in the right area. Great work, Rachel. This is only like your 15th YouTube video. Yeah. So she also got me stitch markers, and she said that they're from a company called Boho Knits, I think on Etsy, and she said that they were very reasonably priced. So I know that if I ever want to buy myself more pretty stitch markers, which I'm never going to need them again to buy more, but also to tell you guys, so Boho Knits on Etsy, she included the business card, which I've got a pile of stuff around me. I wish I could find it for you guys, but I can't in this moment. Oh, sorry. I'm thrilled. I put this little Christmas tree. I cast these on Christmas Eve. I put this little Christmas tree stitch marker from my mom on them when I unwrapped them and I got to the row again. I like them a lot. I feel loved. I mean, I already felt loved, but my mom gets really stressed giving gifts, and she sets the bar so high for herself, and I don't think she's ever missed. I'm not a hard person to buy gifts for. I'm someone who genuinely enjoys receiving mugs and candles and bath products, like all the things that are considered like gifts for people you don't know very well. I love those things. Tea, my brother got me tea, chef's kiss. So, with the stitch markers for Secret Santa, my friend also got me a ball of Retrosaria Mondim, because she knows I like knitting socks in this color. I don't know the name of it. She got this from Espace Tricot in Montreal because most of my friends still live in Montreal. I miss them and the city dearly. It's 100 grams of 100% Portuguese wool non-superwash, which is 385 meters or 421 yards. The color is 203. Really excited to make some no nylon socks with these. I'm wondering if it's a good idea to use this last ball to hold with this to make them stronger, or to use this to reinforce the heel and the toe. One lovely subscriber, their username is Yarn is a Sport on Instagram. I don't know if her human name is on there. Messaged me very kindly and suggested that I sent me a link for like reinforcing nylon thread for heels and toes for no nylon socks. Apparently that's how they used to do it before you had nylon wool sock blends. And I thought that was a genius idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that, because they stock it at Knitomatic. Thinking about doing that with mohair. Is that a waste of mohair? Maybe. Let me know. Or if I knit it with this whole thing. I think I have enough for a whole pair of socks for myself. Not using all of this, but using all of this. But then I'm like, is that overly bougie to use my last skein of mohair on? But also, what else am I going to do with like 23 grams of mohair? Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have any tips for knitting 100% wool, non-superwash, no nylon socks? I was thinking of maybe doing just like a really nice like ribbed pair. And is it worth it to add the mohair? Is it not? I'm very interested in your opinions. So yeah, when my friend got me the stitch markers for Secret Santa, my mom was like, my gift is ruined. I got her so many stitch markers and her friend got her so many stitch markers. It's all a waste. All I got is this expensive rinky-dink plastic thing and some stitch markers. And she already has the stitch markers. And then I had to bring her my work in progress. I was still working on the yoke with the diamonds. And so I had stitch markers like for here, and then for here, and for here, and then for here. And I had to show her what it looks like when I'm knitting like color work or lace, or even just raglan increases, to show her like how many stitch markers I use per project. And then she was like, oh phew, we're good, never mind, everything's fine. But all of this to say, very grateful for these gifts. I don't know, it feels kind of weird to be showing off all of this stuff that I received. I hope the tone isn't strange, but I'm very, very grateful to receive these gifts. They make knitting a little bit easier and just kind of like, ooh, like special things that I get to use that are just a little bit prettier or a little bit easier or a little bit nicer, or in the case of the ball winder, a lot easier, that I wouldn't have gotten myself, but I really appreciate that people took the time to get them for me. And that was really exciting. My mom also got me a gift card to Knitomatic, like she did for my birthday. That's really cool. And I used that to buy myself some stuff. So I bought 4 of these guys, which is Kelborn Woolen Mojave. Is it focusing? Either way, it is 60% cotton, 40% linen, and it's 50 grams for 170 meters or 185 yards. It's a sport weight. I'm going to use to knit myself the Road Tripper Tee by Ozetta. It was on sale at Knitomatic and I had a gift card. So this was like $8.50 a skein, and I bought 4 of them, and I think the total is in my gift card. You're going to hear the word gift card a lot on this channel, because thankfully that's what people get me as gifts a lot for yarn stores, and that's how I support this expensive hobby. But the total of this yarn was, I think, $28. Looking at the receipt, I didn't look at the breakdown, but got 4. I really should have gotten 5, but I'm probably going to crop the tee, and you know how I feel about scraps. I also got myself this Kelborn Woolen project bag, which says make something, and then has the sign language spelling out knit on one side, and then, oh no, it says use your hands, sign language spelling out knit, and then on the back it says make something with sign language spelling out crochet. I love that both crafts are represented because I do both. And it's made in the US. It's originally $20. I got the last one. It was on sale for $15. and it's really sturdy. It sits up on its own. It has one of those like flat bottoms. I think it's gorgeous, and it is the perfect size. I have been coveting other people's really pretty project bags for a while. I have the one from Cat, which is the little tote, and then I have the small, you guys have seen it. I got this guy for my on-the-go projects like socks and hats. But I don't really have any project bags. I just have tote bags that I sometimes put things in. So I treated myself to this. It's such a good size. I have 3 50-gram skeins of this in here. And I've just been holding all the other yarns that I got in there. So that pair of sock yarn, this sock yarn, this leftover mohair, and this is the test wind-up cake my mom and I did of the Kelborn woolens. Really excited. I've used this before to make my boyfriend a kippa. I love it. I also knit my little headband that you guys have seen me wear a bunch of times out of this in a different color. It softens up beautifully, and it's really, really nice. It'll be a very nice grown-up tee when I finally get around to knitting it, either in the next 2 months or in the summer. But I've committed to the Road Tripper tee. It is a beautiful Henley. It's on my Make 9. I think I'll get a lot of wear out of it, and I'm already really into that color. My last acquisition is this Sanna's Garn Sisu in Light Lilac, which is the sock yarn. This is the color I'm going to use for the lavender part of the Blooming Lavender socks for my friend. I placed 2 separate orders. This one accent ball came or was ready for pickup before the green and the natural for the green part, and then the base color of the sock. Not feeling very articulate today, sorry guys. So this came. I'm just waiting for the rest so I can start the socks. Really looking forward to those. And this was originally $6.50 at Unit, but they did a 20% off Boxing Day sale, so I think it was $5.80 instead, and I got 4 balls of it. So total, 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 8 is 32. So I paid $20.32. Nope. $23.20? Yep. $23.20 for 4 balls of yarn, of which I'm expecting to have a lot of scrap. Some of which will go, or just a teensy bit of the white's going to go towards my Magic Toadstool sock. And yeah. I also bought 1 skein of 100 grams of non-superwash with nylon sock yarn from the Love Stitch Fibers. The Love Stitch Fibers is a brand new hand dyeing yarn business outfit run by Tiara Renee of the Love Stitch Knits podcast, which is not my favorite. I have so many favorites. A podcast that I adore. I love Tiara's energy. I love her makes, love her Instagram account, and I really appreciate her eye for color and for aesthetics. She just started her own yarn dyeing business. I wanted to support it, and she posted a bunch of one-of-the-kind, like, yarn colorway experiment. I'm sorry if it's loud. I'm so sorry, you guys. This is a messy one. She posted a bunch of one-of-a-kind, like, either colorway experiments or oopsie skeins for $22 each, as opposed to $28 for 100 grams. And it was right after I realized that it made sense for me to stay in Toronto an extra 3 weeks, and that I was feeling kind of sorry for myself, and a little bit like, oh, I'm on break. I get to treat myself. And I bought it. I bought one of them. I will maybe post a photo of it here. I might just wait until I can get it and show you. But it was $22, and then my father lives in the southern US. I was going to go spend part of the holidays with him before I got COVID. And so I shipped it to him, which was much less money than shipping it to Canada because you don't have to pay as much tax, and more importantly, the shipping is significantly less money. So I was like, great, this just kind of makes sense as like a nice little treat to support a maker that I really, really love and want to support. It's a little bit less money because it's a one-of-a-kind / oopsie, and I don't have to pay to ship it to Canada. I can just ship it to my dad in the US, and it arrived there. But I didn't arrive there because I had COVID, and I couldn't travel, and I was also very sick. So it's sitting in my dad's house, and I'm apparently supposed to go to Florida to make up that trip and spend time with my dad in the next couple weeks. And if that happens, I will have this again and show you in person. And then I recently found out about actually I don't even know if they're that new, but a kind of new to me, indie yarn dyer based in Toronto, in Canada. And I love the colorways that they make. The yarn dyer's name is Emily C. Gillies. I was watching Tricot Meringue, who's a French podcaster. She's very new. She's had 3 episodes, and she's based out of Quebec City. And she mentioned one of these yarns, and of course, my ears only perked up and heard it once I'd already found out about this dyer. This dyer does both fiber braids for spinning, like hand dyes them. I think mostly on Polworth. That's not true. They have a Polworth blend. Don't know if, I'm sure they have other ones too. And then also a bunch of different hand dyed yarns in just gorgeous colors. And I have a gift card to a store that stocks them, and I was like, maybe I buy a sweater's quantity. But before I commit, and before I have a project in mind, I started following Emily C. Gillies on Instagram, and they posted about a yarn club that they're doing, which is 5 20-gram minis, or you could do 5 50-gram skeins, hand-dyed yarn in a gradient of colors. It's called the Luck of the Draw Yarn Club. Never participated in a yarn club, but I saw the colors, like the mood board inspiration for it. I saw that it's coming from a local Toronto dyer. Shipping is free for me, currently being in Toronto. And I saw the inspiration mood board and blacked out bought it. I woke up, credit card was in my hand, confirmation email on my screen. It happened. Joking aside, I bought 5 20-gram mini skeins of sock yarn. I'm going to use them to make the Rumpiest socks by Bloom and Create, which is also my Make 9 pattern I've had since I think September, that I've been looking forward to knitting. Except you need 5 20-gram mini skeins, or just 5 20-gram amounts of yarn, and I really was not able to make it work with my sock scraps, and I didn't want to have to buy like 5 of these kinds of things. Like I want to have to buy 5 full either 50 or 100 gram skeins of sock yarn, so I was just going to wait until I accumulated more scraps. But then this yarn club appeared, and I think that they will make a gorgeous set of socks, and I'll have probably a little bit left over. And it really just felt like a nice way to like buy local, explore a new dyer that I have access to. It felt like a way to treat myself and indulge without buying a sweater's quantity of hand-dyed yarn, and support a local dyer without having to buy like a sweater quantity of hand-dyed yarn, and a way to kind of make myself feel better for having COVID and make sure that I have more than enough to knit in the next little while. We've hit an hour. I've been rambling. This could have been shorter, but it's not. I'm really excited about that. I will show you guys that when I get it. I think it ships at the end of this month. Pre-orders, I think, are still open if you want them. But these colors to me are kind of perfect January vibes. Like, sun sets so early, the sky is always this like really light, icy, clear blue. Sunset's kind of pink, and then you have these dark contrast branches, and you have those beautiful blues and pinks reflected on the snow. It feels very Canadian winter to me, in like the nice ways as opposed to the grim and dark ways. And I'm trying to appreciate winter more, and it just called to me. The sock colors, the gradient, the mood, all of it really appealed to me. I just liked the whole idea, and so I bought it. It was $34, including shipping. No, sorry, shipping was included. It was free. And I'm really excited. I don't expect to be splurging on this kind of thing a lot on the hand-dyed yarn from the Love Stitch or on yarn clubs, but it really felt nice at the time. I don't really feel bad about it, and I'm happy, and I'm really excited to show you guys those things soon. Hopefully get a handle on my yarn buying as well once school starts again. There's one other thing I want to show you. There are two other things I want to show you. The first is a little over a year ago, I knit my boyfriend this hat in Cascade Superwash, Cascade 220 Superwash. They're merino. They're merino worsted. These are his favorite colors. I picked a color work pattern. It was supposed to be trees, but they look kind of funny because it's blue. And I knit this for him for our anniversary. It's huge. This is like so, I didn't fully understand negative ease. And he has kind of a big head. And I saw this, I don't remember the pattern. My first ever colorwork project, and it shows. Didn't do a very good job. I think it was my third ever knitting project. And I knit this for our anniversary. And I didn't understand ease. So I looked at the pattern sizes. I saw the large and I thought that's going to be too small for him. So I added on stitches for an extra repeat. And I knit it a half size up. And I didn't account for the fact that this is superwash merino, which grows like mad. And the result is a comically large hat. This is after I shrunk it a little bit, a couple days ago. He wears it all of the time. He appreciates it greatly. I knit him a pair of fingerless mitts in this contrast color because it's his favorite color for his birthday a few months ago. But it needed fixing. And he kept having to roll up the brim more and more to make it fit because he just kept stretching. So he asked if I could fix it for him, and I said absolutely, of course, would be my pleasure. And so I shrunk it a little bit in the wash. It's still kind of big, but I don't think as problematically big. I'm going to sew down the brim so it fits like that. Hopefully that's enough to fix it. Keep you guys posted. And then the last thing I want to show you, and I should have showed you this earlier, but I didn't because I'm disorganized. So this time last year, I was still really into crochet and scared of knitting. Hee, messed up my hair a little bit. There we go. Crocheted myself this sweater. This took me 2 months. It was a huge mess. I learned so much about crochet and garment construction. I did a bad job. I'll link the tutorial I tried to follow below. The ribbing is really tight. The sizing is off. I had to pick up stitches and knit it down because I made it too short. It's kind of a boat neck, which is unintentional. All the seams are really obvious. And there are holes. And after a certain point, I just kind of stopped trying to weave in ends. I frogged several major parts of this multiple times. It took me 2 months and I never wear it. You can tell because I haven't even finished it. Like there's still a stitch marker from where the part I have to like lock the last stitch. It's done all in alpine stitch though, which I do think is a lot of fun to make and also gorgeous. I might make a tapestry or a throw pillow out of that stitch at some point. And I haven't wanted to frog this because it kind of felt like one of my first, bigger projects and things I was proud of, and it took me so much time. Like 2 months of like a lot of like dedicated crochet time. But I'm home, and for a while I didn't think I was going to have enough knitting. So I'm thinking I'm going to frog this. Oh, this is knit in Barocco Vintage DK, which is a wool acrylic a wool polyester and nylon blend that is very affordable and comes in a million colors. And I think I'm going to frog this, reclaim the yarn, and knit a My Favorite Things knitwear sweater number 15 out of it, the one with the all over cables. I think the cables might hide the crinkly texture from this yarn being used for something else. I think otherwise this yarn is just kind of being wasted. Sorry, pal. I still really like the color. I think it'll still suit my wardrobe really well. And I think it might be a fun project. I intend to make several modifications to the sweater. I'm going to knit it a size down because I don't want a boxy fit. I want it to be a bit more fitted. And I'm not going to do the bell sleeves. I'm going to decrease and do a ribbed cuff. But I wanted to show you guys before I reclaimed this yarn, so that there's a record that I did this in the first place. Love you. But I'm gonna rip you up. So, yeah. That's my other... I think I'm also going to knit... I'm going to start my boyfriend's sweater very soon. Because our anniversary is fast approaching, and I promised. And I'm going to knit it also in this, because he wants an anchor sweater, and I think that this will be a good, affordable yarn option with colors he really likes. He already chose 2 options. We're going to go from there. I think it'll be nice. So I went from being worried about not having nearly enough knitting to do while I'm here for an unknown amount of time to having more than enough. Maybe too much. Especially since I'm about to start school again. But since I'll be in a lot of Zoom lectures, well, actually no, I will not be knitting in lecture, but I have a lot of seminars coming up, and while we're just having a discussion and I'm not taking notes, I think stockinette is acceptable. So, we'll see. If my professors don't like it, or it's distracting, then of course I'll stop, but I'm gonna probably knit some socks in lecture. And so I think that so just to give you a rundown of what my intended or anticipated upcoming yarn or knitting schedule. First and foremost, blooming lavender socks. And then I think I'm going to knit these pretty monogamously, but balanced with the fortune sweater, which is in this bag. And then once I finish the socks, and I'm mostly knitting that, or if I finish that body and also these, going to start my boyfriend's sweater because I don't want to be rushed. And I have about 5 weeks to knit that. Actually, maybe I am already going to be rushed. Cutting it close, kind of, now that I think about it. And then my magic toadstool socks. So, blooming lavender socks and the fortune sweater are what I'm going to be knitting on for the next few days. Once I finish the blooming lavender socks, I'm going to start go back to my magic toadstool socks. Once I finish the body of my fortune sweater, I think I'm going to start knitting my boyfriend's sweater, which will be the anchor sweater for my boyfriend's size. And then also either the road tripper tee using the Kelborn woolens that I bought, or sweater number 15 using this. So that is my rough knitting roadmap, game plan. I'm really excited about all of these projects. I hope that you are too. And hopefully we'll talk soon. I'm really excited about all my future knitting projects. I really hope that all of you guys are able to stay safe and avoid getting sick and have access to care and lots of fluids if you do get sick. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you guys soon. Yeah. I like podcasting. I've missed this. I was thinking about it a lot when I was sick, and I was like, the lighting was bad, and also I was sick, and you could tell. But I was thinking a lot about it's going to be so nice to chat with them again. I was hoping that the brain fog that comes from being sick and also just post-chemo that affects my brain in waves in general would be a little bit less pronounced. As I think back over the things I've said in this video, I think I'm still a little brain foggy, but thank you for being here. really hope all of you are doing well. I hope that if you're not doing well, your circumstances improve soon. I believe in you, and we'll talk soon.